Good afternoon. Today is the 29th of January, and it's time for yet another not particularly interesting, very vague and probably quite boring vlog. So, something I've been considering recently, especially as I did a YouTube short about this particular issue, is which of the 8 generations of Ford Fiesta, a car which we all very much miss, was the best. Now, in this country, we divide the 4th generation car into 2 separate entities, the Mark IV and the Mark V. But the Mark V is essentially a facelift of the Mark IV. And so, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to count the Mark IV and the Mark V as sort of the same car. I have driven a Mark IV. I've also driven 2 Mark Vs, and because I've got no footage of the one I drove a Mark IV in about 2017 or something like that, then you won't see that, but they are very similar to the Mark IV and the Mark V. I also will later on in the video be speaking about an event which I attended at the weekend, which was on Sunday, and again, like so many videos, I don't know how many videos I've made. Like, I have about 6 minutes of footage from it, so it's not enough for a full video, and so it will go in there as well. I've lost count a number of times I had to do this, but there we go. Good morning. Today is the 26th of January, and here we are at Port Solent near Portsmouth. They have an event here every couple of weeks. Unfortunately, the weather is quite bad, and I've also arrived a little bit late, so there's not an awful lot here. Later on, we'll go down to CLXXXIV and see if that is a bit, more accommodating. But there we go. We'll just have a look at here anyway, because I've come all the way down here. 1966 in some interesting colours. Are those Golf Porsche colours? Funny sort of air intake coming down here. Of course, the engine's in the back, so that's probably a sensible place to put that if you've got one of these racing tube limbs. But we've got this Beetle that's it's all sorts of different colours. About 73, 74. Strangely, it doesn't actually look that modified. It's just the colour of it. Obviously, those wings might have just been bolt on. I think there's a bolt on those wings. And if you really want to, of course, you can get the chassis off that quite quickly. I think I've seen that one before. Also, very, very nice Maserati here. Extremely nice Maserati. That's a personal plate, obviously, so I'm not sure what year this will be. Very nice. Don't know much about Maserati. They don't sell many in this country at all, really, which is a shame. But it looks like a sort of cream leather interior. I won't sort of bother the owner by sort of poking my head inside his car, but very nice. Let's go into the next section. Seems like the local Mustang group here. So we've got a 96 here, and then a 2003. I think 2003 was the last year for this shape. I forget what the platform is called now for these. We've got the current generation one here. Of course, the 5-litre V8. They did sell other types of Mustang in this country. I don't think they do anymore. I think it's just a 5-litre V8. We've got the 98 one here. Another 5-litre V8. And then we've got the previous generation here. Very, very black. Appropriate for the sort of plate that's on that. Another 5-litre V8, and then a 5-litre convertible, which I don't think we're going to be put down today. I don't think that's going to happen somehow, which is a shame, but never mind. And then we've got a Camaro over here. I mean, Catfish Camaro. This would be a 2001. There we go, on a 51 plate. They did actually sell these over here officially at the time. I wonder if that's an importer, or if it actually was one of the ones that was supplied new in this country. Ooh, very nice view. It's a Corrado VR6. Similar to the one that I drove last year. I think it's the same colour as well. No, it's not different colours. Purple. And a Volvo 850. Very nice views. That's a facelifted one. Wheels, I think they are 850 wheels. I've not seen those for a long time, actually. I don't know what year that one would be. So it's a post facelift. The facelift came about in 1994, I think it was.
We've got presumably a Carrera 4. This will be, to get this right, I always get the 996 and 997s confused. I think this is a 996 actually. Well, I can see 4S, very nice. And then we've got Golf GTI Mark III. It could be a VR6 actually. It's got a leather interior. Yeah, it is a VR6. It's quite a late one. I think the Mark III's finished in 1998, and that's a 9798 plate. Now you can't put a plate on a car that's newer than the car, so I think that would be about right for it. And of course, there are a couple of MX-5s here. Got this one that's had some sill work done. Let's see if that is what happens with these, where they go. So 91, 92, very good. There we go. This is more like it, viewers. 2.5 5-cylinder white block Volvo 850, 96, 97. So one of the last ones. Even Volvo 850s are starting to rust now, unfortunately. The front wings generally go first. But yes, we like those very much. And then an MB for good measure as well. Then an E36 M3 Salute, excellent. I'm not so keen on the black wheels, viewers. Quite a few people I know aren't so keen on them. I'm one of them, I'm afraid. But the rest of it's very nice. Right, viewers, you've got to be careful here in case we've got an engine in here that we can't discuss. I can see the beige leather interior, but yeah, just because there's not an M badge on it doesn't mean we can discuss it. So we'll have a look at that in a second. But we've also got a Monaro over here, and Monaros are quite enjoyable things. Having driven one of these myself in 2022, I drove. 2023, I drove one of these. It was a UK supplied car. It'd been in the same family from new. It was 2005. That one's got some HSV badges. Let's have a look and see if this one's actually got Vauxhall steering wheel or not. No, it's got a Holden one. It could have been imported. It could have some badges put on it. I'm not sure, but they are very good fun. You've got to watch the clutch though, because they're quite heavy in those.
So there's the footage from Port Solent. Hopefully we'll go there again and there'll be more cars there, and weather won't be so awful, but you never know what's going to happen these days, really. So let's talk about Fiestas. We'll talk about the specific Fiestas I've filmed for the channel, and also just general information about these separate marks. So the Mark I Fiesta was introduced in this country in 1977. It was introduced in some place in 1976. And that ran until 1983. The car that I drove on the channel last year was a 1983 car. It was a very late one, on a Y plate, and it was a 1.3 gear. I don't believe you could get an automatic Fiesta, at least in this country. I don't think you could. That was probably my favourite type of Mark I Fiesta. The purpose of this for the video really is to work out what your favourite sort of Fiesta is, what you think that would be. What is the best generation of Fiesta? And some of you might think the Mark I is the best. I mean, I'm not sure I believe that. The brakes were quite bad. That was really the biggest problem with the car, was the brakes. Apart from that, it wasn't too bad actually. It was pretty good. Next one is the Mark II, logically. That came out in 1983. In some ways, it is a very heavily updated Mark I. I think you can actually change over the doors and the tailgate from one to the other if you want to. I can't remember which way around that works, but I have seen a car which without the correct door and tailgate on it, which does fit. More kind of engines in these 1.4s. I think a little bit more power as well in the XR2. Some people say the Mark II is the best generation of Fiesta. I don't know. I'm not sure. I personally agree with that. It feels a little bit basic to me, but nevertheless, they're quite good cars. The one I drove was in 2021. It was the first ever episode of Sensible Secondhand Classics, which is broadcast. It was recorded in March 21. It was a 1988 1.1 L with the CTX automatic gearbox, which actually wasn't too bad. I thought it would be really slow. The gearbox would be terrible. And actually, that was okay. So yeah, that's the Mark II. Let's move on now to the next one. So next, the Mark III, which was launched in 1989. The one I drove was, I think it was in 1991. I think I drove it in 2022. It's a 1.1 flight, I think. It might have been a 1.3. I think it was a 1.1. And that was a bit like a Gear, but a special edition. I found that car not the nicest drive. The gearbox and clutch weren't very good on it for some reason. And the steering was really heavy. I don't think the Mark III was necessarily like the high point in the history of the Fiesta, particularly the early ones, like the one I drove. The cars after sort of late 93, early 94 were a lot better, from what I understand. Obviously, we're not talking necessarily about the XR2i and the RS Turbo, things like that. Those are very different from the normal ones. But I just found the Mark III a little bit sort of plasticky, a little bit sort of crude feeling, and not that nice to drive. Let's move on now to the Mark IV and Mark V. So the Mark IV came out in 1995. The Mark III actually continued alongside it, I think, as the Fiesta Classic until 1997. And then in 1999, the Mark V was launched. And they are, unfortunately, very, very similar. So the Mark IV I drove, which was, I think, a 1.4 Gear in about 2017, was quite good. I don't know if I prefer the styling of the Mark IV and the Mark V, to be honest. I'm not sure. But they are so much better to drive. More modern dashboard and updated styling, fundamentally quite similar underneath, and down to the fact that you still have an underslung spare tyre underneath the boot. But the one I drove on the channel recently was a 2002 1.25 freestyle. It was a very late one, and it was good. I think a bit more power maybe be best. 1.25 is not the most powerful engine, but it's a very, very good engine, and it would actually live on in the Fiesta until 2017 in various forms. So yeah, I mean, my Mark IV or 5 possibly for me might be what I consider to be the sort of best. There are also other candidates for that, and now we'll move on to the next car. So the Mark VI Fiesta was launched in 2002. I've had a couple of these on the channel. One was a 1.4, which I drove in 2020. It was a 2005 model. That's a car that Mr. Richardson viewers driving rescued from a hedge. And that video has been really popular. It's not a very good video, but it's been quite popular. And then in 2022, I filmed another one. A friend of mine had bought a 1.25 Zetec Freedom from 2006, which he hadn't actually until quite recently. And that's been a very popular video too. Mark VI, the styling, what I gather, a lot of people they didn't like as much as the Mark V, but a much more modern, much safer car, more options you could get with it. Still nice to drive, still nice gearbox, nice handling. Is that my favourite? I don't know. It's the first generation where you could get like really powerful engines, like the 2-litre ST with 148 horsepower was much, much more than any previous Fiesta had ever had. So, yeah, that might be one of the best of some people. I don't know. They're available for no budget reviews money these days, so perhaps. And then we have the Mark VII Fiesta, was launched in 2008. I have reviewed 4 of these on the channel. One in 2021 was a 1.25 Zetec from 2014, that one. Then in 2024, I filmed 3 of them on the channel. A 2012 1.4 Zetec, a 2013 1.25 Zetec, and then at the end of the year, a 2010 1.6 Zetec S, and that was fun as well. For some people, that is like the Fiesta. It was around for quite a long time, about 9 years. There's still loads and loads around, and they are the quintessential, sensible second-hand car, really. They are available in plentiful numbers. We've got a whole membership tier of a channel named after the Mark 7 Fiesta. So I think maybe my sort of Mark 5 and the Mark 7 are my favourites. I don't know. Let's move on to the last one. So the last one is the Mark 8, which was launched in 2017 and finished production in 2023. So not the longest generation of Fiesta ever. This one, I did drive one. It was a 2020 Fiesta Active. And one of my friends actually owned that. She said bought another car. I didn't like it as much as the Mark 7. I don't really know why. I think it was quite a good car. I'm a bit concerned about the EcoBoost engines in them, but that's normal, the Fords. It was a lot more equipment in it, probably nicer trimmed in some ways, but just a little bit of the kind of immediacy of the chassis, in my opinion, was lost on a Mark 8. Still a good car to drive, absolutely, great car, but I prefer the way the Mark 7 drives personally, and of course you get the Mark 7 with the Zetec SE engines, which I think are very, very good. So there's the Mark 8. There we are, viewers. That's a little slightly shambolic shuffle, and I suppose vote for your favourite Fiesta in the comments section below. Let me know which is your favourite generation from 1977 in this country to 2023. Thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video in the comment below, and we shall see you again for some more vague and not particularly interesting music.